Well, hello to everybody and welcome to the March Impact Advantage. I am really excited about what we're going to talk about today, the effective communication skills. I will share, Matt Lee is normally on the call. Matt is at the Louisville Truck Show today. So getting ready for that. This will be the first time in over 20 years that I've not been at the Louisville Truck Show. So just not going to make it this time. And man, I just want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of people. I saw Haley on here. I see Brian Lagana from the Safety Management Council. ATA, Safety Management Council, is on the call. And folks, I was there yesterday at the planning session in DC. Had to bail out early to get out of there before the snow started. I have not checked the weather this morning, but supposedly last time I saw they were going to get whacked, and they're canceling my flight, so I got out early. And Autumn, I hope that Joe made it back to town. So I saw Autumn on here. Little shout out to Autumn. But hey guys, let's get going on this thing. Effective communication skills. And before we jump into the first slide, I always want to give thanks to Impact eLearning for its support, and then also for HireRight for their continued support, and Ramsey Media Works for their help in getting the word out about these webinars that we do every month. We have 1,029 companies registered for this every month. So and it continues to grow. And matter of fact, I've got one in my briefcase right now, so let's call that 1,030 once we get that one added. So anyway, I don't take that lightly. And folks, I can tell you, I've already got the agendas for the next couple of months worked out. We're going to have Leah Shaver from National Driver Wage Survey on next month, if our calendars work out, talking about the changes in driver pay. The changes in driver pay are just happening so fast. I think they're actually running extra and special reports to try to keep up with it. Then we're also going to have 2 sessions this year on driver wellness. Driver wellness is absolutely critical to driver recruiting and driver retention. There are drivers we don't get to have because they don't have a physical, and we have drivers that we lose because they have medical issues. So we're going to talk about driver wellness on a couple of our sessions this year as well. So probably coming up in June and possibly July. But so getting into communication, why do we cut each other off in conversations? Why do we think other people are through talking when they're not? Why do we feel like we have to talk fast and or paraphrase our thoughts to get them said, frankly, before the other person interrupts us? And why do people think you don't care about them or what they have to say? Which I think we would all agree, all of us professionals on this phone call, if people don't think that you care about them or what they have to say, would you all agree that that's offensive and will ultimately damage our relationships with that person? So, and why do we multitask when people are talking to us? We're going to talk about all of those things today. So if I get my slide to go, there we go. Well, first thing is we need to listen to understand, not to reply. Many people when they're listening, they're actually listening to reply. And so when we're listening to reply, just watch people when they're talking. One person will be listening, one person will be talking. Halfway through the person that's talking, halfway through their sentence, the person that's listening, because they're listening to reply, they're already assuming the rest of what the person that is talking is saying. And when that happens, they assume the rest, so they think that the other person's through with their sentence, and they'll start trying to interrupt. Now, that's a weird part of this whole thing. Why is it that when I'm talking and then somebody goes to interrupt in the middle of my sentence and I go, hey, let me finish what I'm saying, and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were. Or if I'm talking and I get interrupted and then the person assumed the rest of what I was going to say, and they were wrong. So then I said, hang on, no, that isn't what I was saying. Let me finish what I was saying. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were. Why in the world, in the middle of my sentence, do they think that I am through with my sentence? And the answer to that is the power of visualization. Dr. Schuler did a set of tapes on that. And folks, the power of visualization is very powerful. But this is the power of visualization gone bad. See, what happens is our minds, and this is some weird psychological stuff, our minds don't know the difference between a visualization and reality. Matter of fact, if you watch the Winter Olympics, and Lindsey Vonn is up at the top of the downhill skiing, they've done it the last 3 Olympics. I didn't see her on this one though because I didn't watch it. But the last 2 prior to that, so I'm sure they did it this time, where she'll be off to the side of the downhill, start gate, and somebody else will be ready to race, and she's off to the side, and you can look at her, and I mean, she's down in her tuck, and she's pushing to one side and going to the other. She actually jumps a little bit, and you're like, what in the world's that girl doing? Well, she's running down the race. She's running that entire course. She knows it like the back of her hand. And she is going down that entire course, and she's running it perfectly. So what happens if she's running down that course and she visualizes herself having a problem on that turn, on that jump? Do you think that that's going to be directly impact the outcome of her race? Matter of fact, they asked some wide receivers of the NFL, what do you think about when the long ball's been thrown? What do you think about? And there was a group that said, I think about catching the ball and running a touchdown. I'm excited to catch the ball and run the touchdown. There was another group that said, I'll tell you what I think about. Man, I sure hope I don't drop this one. What do you think the outcome is? Folks, the power of visualization is extremely powerful. If you can't see yourself doing it, you're a long way toward not doing it. On the other hand, do you see yourself doing it? Can you see yourself being successful? Can you see yourself completing that task? Can you see yourself winning? This is kind of a side note, but it's totally related to it. Most people spend their time thinking about what they don't want. And folks, you are drawn toward what you think about. I went out to a soccer field one day, and I didn't get to go out there very often, but my brother-in-law was out there teaching some kids to play soccer, and they're having their pregame warm-up and all that. And I drive up, and I notice the kids are all lined up kicking the ball. And they're kicking the ball right to the goalie. And so I said to my brother-in-law, I said, so what's this exercise? He said, well, I want them to kick a goal. I told them, I want them to kick a goal. And I said, well, so what did you say to them? He says, I told them not to kick it to the goalie, kick a goal. Well, what do you think every one of those kids were looking at? Don't kick it to the goalie. So every one of the kids were looking at the goalie that they didn't want to kick the ball to. And the goalie didn't even have to move to catch the ball. So I told my brother-in-law, why don't you change what you told the kids? Tell the kids to kick it into the net. So just kick it into the net, guys. And guess what? The goalie had to start running and jumping in order to try to stop the balls from going into the net. Folks, look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. So what happens? So you see what happens when we listen to reply rather than listening to understand. On the other hand, when we listen to understand, what happens is we don't interrupt because we want to hear what is being said by the other person. And since we've listened to everything that the other person has said, when we do speak, we are 100% on subject. We're not assuming the wrong thing. We didn't go the wrong direction. We kept it right on the subject where the person was at. Folks, people crave the attention of other people. They enjoy the opportunity to share their thoughts and their dreams and their aspirations and their feelings without being interrupted. I got to tell you, this little side note, my sister's not on here, so you guys don't tell her. But she got aggravated over 17 years ago. Here's what happened. My sister's got a bad habit of interrupting. And so I went to tell my sister that I was engaged to get married. I was going to get engaged to get married. Then I wanted to tell her I was engaged to get married. But every time I started talking about my relationship to Carmen, wherein I could tell her that I was engaged, she'd interrupt me and change the subject to other things. So it was obvious to me that my sister didn't care about what I wanted to try to tell her. So I just decided she'd find out when she got the invitation. And that's when she found out. And then she gives me a call and can't believe that I didn't tell her. And she has to find out about these things through the invitation that I sent to everybody else. And that's when I shared with her the dates and times I tried to tell her, and every time she interrupted me. Folks, what do we miss out on? What great opportunities do we miss out on because we're too busy talking and not listening? You know, I honestly, I get concerned about that on myself. I want to be known as a great listener. And folks, when you become a great listener, you will be known as a great communicator. Because when you speak, you're on subject. Our undivided attention is one of the most powerful things we can give to somebody. And when you do that, people get absolutely drawn to you and committed to you because you're a caring person, you're an intelligent person, you're a great communicator, and the advice and or comments you make are worth hearing because, again, you know what's being said. Managers on this phone call, with your employees, I know we're busy. I know we've got lots going on. But make a deal with your employees. When you walk into my office, give me a minute to finish what I'm doing, and then I will give you my undivided attention. And don't come in talking. Just stand by, and I'll acknowledge you. Give me 2 seconds to finish this email. And so I'll acknowledge you, but then I'm going to turn and I'm going to face you, and I will give you my undivided attention. Folks, I've got a Kellyism. You know, I don't talk to people that are trying to do two things at once, which kind of takes me to our next slide. See, folks, when you became a manager, you did not all at once get this God-given ability to do two things at once. Here's worldwide deception that's going on out there today. Talking about communication and multitasking is worldwide deception. I can do two things at once. Go ahead. That's all right. Go ahead. I can do two things at once. How many of us have said that one? Or, well, I have to multitask to get everything done. And if I don't multitask, man, I'll never get done today. Well, okay, truly what it is the younger people are better at it than the older people. Well, if you don't believe that lie, then let me try this one on you. Women are better at it than men. There you go. There you go. That one will work. Well, guys, of all the things that we want to Google, why don't we Google multitasking? Because the worldwide truth is it is humanly, neurologically, genetically, and generationally impossible for any person to multitask. We cannot do it with the brains that God gave us. It doesn't matter who you are, what nationality. I should have put nationality on there too. I was on a roll. I should have put nationality. Humanly, nationality, neurologically, genetically, and generationally impossible to multitask. And what they found is that what we do is switch task. So we jump between two tasks. And whenever we try to multitask, it takes us longer to do the things that we're trying to do, and we make mistakes while we do it. When I'm doing a seminar, I have this exercise, and it's called Multitasking is Worse Than a Lie. So if you Google, after this conversation, if you Google multitasking, one of the things that you're going to find is an article out there called Multitasking is Worse Than a Lie. It's a game. And I do this with my seminar groups. You write the sentence, multitasking is worse than a lie, and you number each one of those letters. and I time it. So I have the audience write the sentence and number each letter, and I time it. 30 to 45 seconds typically to complete the exercise. All right. So now I ask the audience to write the same sentence, but only I want you to do the M1, U2, L3, T4. I'm glad I'm reading the screen, or else I wouldn't be able to spell right. Anyway, do it. Do each letter and each number. Every time that we do that, it actually takes people longer to do the sentence than they did the first time, and they make misspelling issues, they make counting issues, and their stress level goes up every single time. So, if you look at resumes that you get today, practically every resume in the opening sentence will tell you, or in the opening paragraph of the resume or the cover letter, I am a prolific multitasker, able to do multiple things at a time. So recently I was looking to hire a person, and I came down to these two resumes, and of course both those resumes had that asinine sentence in the opening paragraph. And so I said, I called each of these people. One was a young girl, and I said, hey, I look at your resume, and I'm considering you for this job, but I really want to thank you for your candor, for your absolute honesty. That when you admit to me on your resume, and not many people would do this, admit that if I hire you, that you're going to take longer to do the job than the current person is taking, and you're going to screw it up while you do it. And she said, what? And so I told her this. And folks, I'll just be honest, I think she thinks I'm a whack job. I mean, I'm some sort of idiot. Now, that's beside the point. But that's a joke. I wish you guys were in front of me so I can hear you laughing. I hope you're laughing. Anyway, she's like, okay, yeah, thank you. That conversation's over. And I didn't hire her. I told the next lady the same thing. She went to our church, and she's like, Kelly, thank you so much for telling me that. I never thought of it like that. And thank you there. I'm getting some laughs on the question things. I appreciate knowing that you guys find me humorous. So thank you. So anyway, I said this to the second lady, and she's like, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing that. And I will make an adjustment on that. So guys, next, I hired the lady. I'm going to tell you straight up. She lied to me. Next thing you know, I'm getting, by the way, I got staff on this call, by the way. Cindy, you don't tell anybody I said that. And I saw Melinda too. But anyway, she wasn't working for Impact. She was working for Cornerstone and my real estate interest. And anyway, the bank calls me and says, Kelly, and the bank president calls me and says, Kelly, I don't know what's going on at Cornerstone, but I'm just going to tell you, your deposits are like off every single night. And I'm like, what? And he says, oh yeah, it's widely known in the bank. Hey, listen, you better count Cornerstone up double, because it's going to be messed up. He says, something's happened. And I says, I appreciate the heads up, and we'll figure out what's happened and we'll get it fixed. Well, this person that told me that they wouldn't multitask was over there trying to count the drawer out while having side conversations, count the drawer out while trying to intermittently do text messages or look at emails, or basically multitasking. And folks, every night, I mean, folks, how hard is it to count a drawer? I learned how to do that pretty early in life, how to add up. It's not hard at all if that's what you're doing. But when you're trying to do that and do something else, then your count gets off. So I said to her, man, you're multitasking, and the bank's called, and, I don't need you to do this. I don't want you to do this. I'm not asking you to do this. Matter of fact, I'm empowering you to take all the time you need, and I'll pay you for it, to do one thing at a time, but do it right. Well, she informed me that she had to multitask. She was a mother, and she knew how to multitask. So basically, she was going to multitask. So then I did this exercise. The multitasking's worse than a lie. I did it with my entire staff. Now here's the other piece of this story. There's an article out there called "Why Smart People Don't Multitask." Folks, they have identified, now not only is it neurologically, humanly, nationally, genetically, and generationally impossible, but they have also determined that it causes brain damage. It damages the portion of your brain that is critical to success, to your interpersonal skills and your success in your career. It damages that part of your brain. Hey, I'm not asking you to believe me. This is not Kelly's opinion. I'm just getting real with you. We got to stop this stuff. This is information that is from the medical universities, neurological departments that have done research on real people with all those fancy machines hooked up to their brains. And I said this so anyway, why smart people don't multitask. Here's something else that they identified in that research. Not only does it cause brain damage, but people that believe that they are the best at it are actually the worst. And this person who thought she had some sort of God-given gift. And I'm just going to tell you, in the Bible, when I see gifts listed, multitasking is not one of those. Just saying. You can look it up. So she thought she had this gift. So I did this exercise, and here's what happened. She couldn't finish it. The rest of the team was able, and we had a lot of fun doing it. People were laughing. Oh, that's funny. Holy cow, I can't count. I can't spell. Oh, man, what's going on? This is terrible. And they were laughing about it, and they're realizing, holy cow, this is crazy. She, in disgust, couldn't even get anywhere close to finishing, and threw her paper and pencil down and said, this is stupid. I can't do it. So, folks, we got to stop this lie. I had a gentleman I was talking to recently, and I shared this with him, and he said to me, he's a young kid, in his 20s, and, fairly new out of college, and he said, I appreciate what you're saying. He said, and I'm not going to tell you I don't believe you. You've made good points. The articles are there. The research is there. It's not your opinion. You're just quoting medical research from the medical universities and the neurological divisions of those universities. He said, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to leave it on my resume, because if I don't put it on my resume, nobody will hire me. You know what? Why don't you use that education that was given to you to write a good sentence? Like, you know what? I want you to know, if you hire me, I will not multitask, because if you do your research, you will find that it is neurologically impossible. I will tell you, if you hire me, I will take the time to do things right every time. I will do my absolute best to do them right and do them quickly, and then move on to the next task. I will run it like I own it. Folks, as managers, when our employees come in, and we say, oh yeah, go ahead, what do you need? And we're still typing on something else. It's disrespectful. As dispatchers, when our drivers call in or come up to the window, and we're like, yeah, what do you need? Folks, we actually embarrass ourselves. Our feedback, our replies are curt, rude, and inappropriate, and we don't realize we do it because we're trying to multitask. So I hope that I can influence you to fully focus on folks when they come up to you, because one of the most important things that we can do is give our undivided attention, because it helps to also get folks committed to us, where they'll walk through fire for us. So with that, I want to thank everybody for being on the call today, and I hope that I've influenced you to at least go research this and see if I'm all wet. And but I think that you'll find that if you'll stop multitasking and start fully focusing on other folks, that your circle of influence will exponentially increase. And so, hey, we'll have our next call. Probably is going to be on April 10th, by the way. Stand by for news on that, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.